Hi, welcome back to the shop. Thanks for stopping by. This week's project, we're going to make a nice simple black walnut bowl. It is about 7 5/8 diameter, and I've rounded the corners off, come at a square stock on the bandsaw. Just got to mount it on a faceplate to turn the outside. Put a mortise in the bottom. Since this is a quick piece to turn, I'm going to do all the turning in real time. I'm going to speed up the sanding and some of the Yorkshire grit and the finish work, but the actual turning will all be done in regular time with the lathe sound on and turned down a little bit so it doesn't deafen anyone. Most people have expressed that they like that format the best, and so we'll try and accommodate when we can. Turn the speed up a little now to 1200. I'm going to leave a little bigger base on this because I'm going to use it, it's going to be intended to be used for a key bowl, so I want it to be nice and stable. You'd hear a little rumbling noise when I'm making this end cut here for the mortise, and that's just the door on the lathe cabinet itself. I've turned with it so long now that I don't even notice it, but then when I go to edit videos I can hear it in here, so that's not a noise that your lathe should make if you don't have a door that has a little bit of play in it, but I actually need to fix that so it doesn't show up in my videos. So I'm using a Vic Mark 120 chuck on this bowl that has dovetail jaws on it, and I have this chisel ground to match the angle on the dovetails. You'll notice I'm turning in reverse because it's so much easier to turn it from this angle rather than trying to reach across the lathe and back into the mortise. So that's why I'm working on the opposite side of the lathe. Alright, so I'm all sanded up here now to 240 grit. I'm going to use Yorkshire grit regular, and then I'm going to follow that up with the microfine. So if you've never used Yorkshire grit before, it is fantastic if you do a good job sanding up to 240. If you slack off on the sanding, you'll get lines. But if you did a good 240 grit finish, this will give you 1,000 grit finish on the regular and 1,500 on the microfine, and there's no dust. And it kind of puts a bit of a luster in the wood with the oils and beeswax that are on. It looks really nice. And so off camera, I put some Hampshire Sheen high gloss on the bottom of this in the mortise, because I'm not going to get to touch that again. There you can see it's finished here now. You should let it sit a few minutes between the Yorkshire grit and the Hampshire Sheen. Give the Yorkshire grit wax a chance to set up. So you notice that as I get right close to the center here, that little tenon that's in the center of this bowl just disintegrates. That's because the grain is running almost flat right here. And lots of people ask when to use a mortise and when to use a tenon. And this bowl would be a bad candidate for a tenon because that grain is so straight that it would break off the bottom of the bowl very likely, just as easily as it breaks off as I'm cutting it with this gouge. And that gouge was just sharpened just before I started the last cut on the inside around the lip of the bowl, so it is still very sharp. Alright, so I'm all sanded up to 240. I've done the Yorkshire grit, regular and microfine on the inside as well now. I did put some, I'm using Hampshire Sheen high gloss for my finish. I did put that on the mortise in the very bottom of the bowl, which I didn't show on camera because it's not going to be touched again. And it goes on the same exact way as the Yorkshire grit, except for you can put your lathe on and turn it up much faster. Yorkshire grit goes on the same speed you sand at, where the Hampshire Sheen finish goes on at a higher speed. Put it on and give it a couple of minutes to set up, and just very lightly buff it with your cloth. Just very lightly at this stage. It's a really nice, fast, easy finish. It's a really nice shine to it as well. Okay, so I'm going to put some stills up at the end. If you're stuck with me, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. This will probably be the last video before Christmas, but Woodturner has sent me another laser, and if I have a chance, they've asked me if I can do a review on it because they're having a promo on that laser. So I'm going to try and get another laser engraver review done before Christmas if possible, and so you can look for that. So I'll put some pictures up of this at the end, and we'll see you next time.